What's up everyone, I'm Daniel Ricardo and this is my steering wheel. Complicated, yes.
All right, let's start, I guess, up at the green N.
Yep.
Neutral.
You got it.
See, I know my
you
stuff.
Got it.
All right, see that? And
so,
then, okay, -10 and +1.
Yeah, so this is a little more complicated. So, for example, when we start the weekend, so our first run, like once we leave the pits, there'll be a more conservative shift mode to make sure, I think, wait till everything comes up to temperature for the gearbox and that. So then once everything looks good, my engineer will give me a call and it's kind of like a lot of sensors and stuff are on this. So I'll press like fail, he might say fail 23 fail.
Okay.
So I'll press fail and then 20, even though it says minus,
right.
it's like +10.
Twice.
So it'll be press it twice for 20, 1, 2, 3, 23. So you'll see it.
Okay.
And then you press fail to confirm it.
Okay.
And then that'll perhaps enable a quick shift mode or something. So for example, Budapest 2014, when I won, there was maybe halfway through the race, we had some issues. And I think something with the exhaust. So the team told me fail something to try and kind of fix the sensor or whatever. And yeah, so you can do some stuff like that, which is crazy.
Is it also used for brake bias as well?
So brake bias is this one.
Okay.
So minus and plus, so depends. Some driver likes to go 0.5% per time. Other drivers just want 1% at a time. So yeah, if I press that, normally I'll press it and then it'll activate. It'll show me where I am.
Okay.
And then I'll double press it to make a change.
And is that programmed into the steering wheel? Like maybe if you're coming into, say, turn 1 in Canada, do you have like a flick or a switch on the back of the steering wheel that automatically sets that brake bias?
Yeah, so when we're manually doing it, that's probably more during the race. Like if the tires are getting a bit older, we might want to save the rear and go forwards to take a bit more energy out of the rear. But yeah, for example, here, turn 1, if we know that we always want to be a bit more forwards on the brake bias, maybe we have a switch like, as you say, maybe a little button behind the wheel, which you'll press, and that'll change your setting. You're only allowed to do, I think, a few of those per lap.
Okay.
But you can have like a pre-made setting to your liking, where it does maybe 1% of brake bias and 1% more engine, 1 step more engine braking, and that can be like a quick switch.
And so for the toggles, so this says diff, so is that the differential?
Yes.
I know it can be quite complicated, but are you able to distill that down into its basic form?
Yeah, I only know it in basic form. So diff, so this would be, so we can have different like entry of the corner, exit of the corner, but for quick one, this is a diff entry. So the higher the number, the more locked it'll be. So basically, if we're sliding a lot with the rear, kind of on the entry of the corner, you would wind it up and go to a bigger number, which would close the diff and lock it and give you more support, basically. Okay. If you've got a lot of understeer and the car's pushing a lot, you would try to open it. I mean, you wouldn't make big changes at a time, maybe 1 switch at a time or 2 steps, but nothing too much.
And so when you have, let's say, more like understeer and you loosen it, that's loosening the rear a bit more for you?
Yes.
So it's limiting the understeer that you're carrying into the corner?
Yes, exactly.
Okay,
so
cool.
It's, I guess, I could be completely wrong here, but reducing the pressure, so allowing it to be a little bit more free and create a bit more like rotation and stuff.
Gotcha. And then on the back?
Yes.
You're like, I'm just going to tap dance my way through this. So on the back, okay, so is this clutch?
Clutch, yep. So they both do the same thing.
Okay.
It's just preference. Some drivers prefer starting with the right hand, some prefer with the left. But actually where we do sometimes need both is, so Montreal, we turn out of the garage, turning left, so you'll do the right, because your hand's like this, so you want to grab it up here. But for pit lanes where you turn left, then you want to use the left clutch, because otherwise it's very, complicated.
Right, you can't grab it.
So you need both, but they're doing the same thing.
And then the 2 paddles in the back, so you have one that's upshift, downshift, but what are the other ones?
So then upshift, downshift, this one's DRS, at least for us.
Okay.
So it's just really quick and easy. So that's why you don't have to make a big change. As soon as you cross the marker, you just tap it and it'll open it.
Okay.
And then you can tap it to close it, or as soon as you lift off the throttle, it'll automatically close. And then this other one, that would be a bit like I explained in turn 1.
Yeah.
It's another toggle switch where you can preset it to what you want.
Gotcha. Drinks button.
Yes. So we used to have a drinks button, which was on like a little motor and it would squirt it into our mouth. But I think that stopped because of weight, maybe.
Okay.
So now it's just, we have the tube. Some drivers keep it in the mouth the whole race. I don't know how. It's annoying. I can't also talk on the radio clear with the tube in. So I'll like keep it to the side and then I'll just like down the straight, I'll like put my hand under my helmet, like flick it in. They're really bad photos, don't post those. I'll come for you if you post those. And then, yeah, so you can just basically suck it like a bottle. And then once I'm finished, I'll just put it back to the side in my balaclava.
How warm is the liquid that's coming out? I remember, like, for me, it was like, it tasted like hot tea.
Yes.
It was so gross.
Not nice tea. So it's really relative to, well, if it's a cold race, the temperature, it'll still be like warm, but not hot. But like Singapore, after probably lap 3, you're drinking disgusting tea. But you know, it's like a race like that where it's so humid, you're so desperate to bring fluids on. Like, you don't care if it's hot, what it tastes like, you just know that you need it.
Final one. There is a lot if you're like with these different turn knobs. I guess what is the most important one aside from the engine that I see here? But for tires, like, does that change settings within the car depending on the deg of the tire? Is that how that?
So some of these. Well, a quick one is, so here it says dry.
Yeah.
So this is basically when we have dry tires on, the speed, I guess, is different because there is, I guess the dry have less tread.
Right.
So it's basically, it's for the pits. So when we have the pit limiter on, we want to make sure this is in the right tire setting, otherwise we might risk speeding in the pit lane. So then when the team fits the inter tire on, we put it to inter, and then I think it recalibrates the pit lane setting, so we don't get a penalty for nothing. So that's pretty much what that one is. Mode, this is like engine mode, so there'll be maybe like, for example, mode 1, which is a quali mode, and then you might have a race mode, which is obviously not emptying all the battery on one lap, because then you'll have to charge it for a few laps, and you know. So this is like probably a sustainable mode, where the battery is always just sitting somewhere constant, so it's not giving you full power, but it's regenerating enough that you stay steady.
How long does it take you to memorize like everything that's on there?
When I first got into F1, there was a lot of things I was intimidated about. The steering wheel was one of them, because I was like, all my capacity is going to be focused on driving, and now you want me to do this and watch that and look at the track and change and think what the car needs and listen to your instructions and try to figure it out myself. Like crazy. So it took a little while, but I'd say after a couple years I was a bit more kind of accustomed and dialed in, and so now, yeah, it's, you know, a lot of the time my engineer will say, hey, make this switch setting when you can, so when you get to the straight, maybe when you got time, but normally I'll be able to just do it as soon as he says it. It's just like autopilot.
Interesting. Thanks very much, Daniel. Appreciate your time, man.
Thank you. Rock and roll.